We are the First United Methodist Church, and we've been a part of Cedar Falls almost from the very beginning. Asbury Collins brought Methodist preaching to the Cedar Valley in about 1851. By 1856, Reverend Rufus Rucker became the first Methodist preacher to be located in Cedar Falls. Methodist Sunday School began in a log cabin near 5th and Washington Streets, and worship services were held on the second floor of the Overman Building in the 100 block of Main Street. Incorporation papers for the First Methodist Church of Cedar Falls were signed in 1860. Our young city was growing, and our church along with it. Advocacy and assistance have always been a part of Methodism, and in the 1870s and 1880s, it was our Methodist women who led the way. A women's sewing society, a women's foreign ministry society, a women's home missionary society, a helper society, an expanded Sunday school, and a library were started. In 1915, our Ladies' Aid Society initiated a fund to help indigent patients at Sartori Hospital. Our first Boy Scout troop was organized in 1912, our first Girl Scout troop in 1939, and troops continue to meet here today. In 1917, our country entered World War I, and like churches everywhere, First Methodist joined the effort. Ladies' Aid did sewing for Belgian relief and prepared bandages for the wounded. The 1930s brought the Great Depression, and First Methodist formed a committee to supply fresh milk to families in Cedar Falls. In 1940, the Ladies' Aid groups merged to become the Women's Society of Christian Service. And this group is now known as the United Women of Faith, and it remains a backbone of our church today. In 1941, World War II came, and it touched all of us. The service rolls from both World Wars hang on the wall in our tower entrance, and many of those soldiers are still alive in our memories today. Through all of Cedar Falls history, the Methodist Church has been present at the center of people's lives. In 1962, future Mayor John Cruz received his God and Country Award here. In 1966, we began participation in the blood bank program, and we still host monthly blood drives today. In 1967, the federal Head Start program used our classrooms. 1968 was a big year as two great denominations combined, the Evangelical United Brethren and the Methodists. Thus, we became the first United Methodist Church of Cedar Falls. In the 1970s and 80s, our church sponsored refugees from wars in Southeast Asia, and those were efforts that earned us a Governor's Service Award in 1987. 1985 began one of our longest-running efforts when we partnered with our neighbors at St. Pat's to begin a free community meal. That meal is still served here on Tuesday nights, and it now includes 7 partner churches working together to feed people in the heart of our city. In 1991, we were a host site for the WIC program, and in 2001, we won another Governor's Service Award. And in the first 23 years of the 21st century, we haven't slowed down. Our overseas missions have sent our members to Mexico and Rwanda and Haiti and Nigeria. Here at home, we were a founding church in the local Love Inc. organization. Our quilters provide gifts of warmth for foster kids, veterans, and those needing a little comfort in their lives. We host community meals and blood drives, and we send regular work crews to the Northeast Iowa Food Bank and Midwest Mission. And we've taken up the cause of elementary literacy with our neighbors at Lincoln School. We've been talking about how First United Methodist Church fits into our community. The world is our parish, but the home base for our ministry is right here. Our first church was a small wood frame building at 6th and Clay Streets, completed in 1861. We quickly outgrew it. 3 years later, in 1864, we completed our second church, a larger brick structure at 7th and Washington Streets. At the time, it offered the largest meeting room in the community. In 1870, our church bell arrived from a foundry in upstate New York. It's 4 feet in diameter and it weighs more than 3,000 pounds. It's not subtle and it's not timid. You can hear it all over town, and it's the bell that hangs in our tower today. In 1893, we began construction on our third building at 8th and Washington Streets, and our white stone tower has become a Cedar Falls landmark. It was dedicated in 1895, and we've been worshiping in that sanctuary ever since. Over the years, we've made many additions to our facility. In 1913, we opened the Sunday School and Social Services building on the adjacent lot to the north. It stood until 1960. In the 1930s, in a search for more space, the men of the church dug out a basement under the sanctuary by hand with shovels and wheelbarrows to create our first fellowship hall. In 1953, we purchased the Murner House at 8th and Clay Street for additional Sunday school class space. In 1958, we purchased the house at 803 Clay to be used as our senior parsonage, and it still is. In 1960, the Sunday school building was demolished to make room for a new educational unit. This new construction contained a larger fellowship hall, a kitchen, classrooms, office space, and a formal parlor. In 1961, the Murner House was remodeled for use as our associate parsonage. The 1970s saw a major renovation of the sanctuary, with part of the balcony and overflow area repurposed as a choir loft and foyer. In the 1990s, another big addition was added to the church building. It included today's fellowship hall, a commercial kitchen, classrooms, and a chapel. In 2012, with ownership of the entire block secured, it was time for the most recent addition. It was a big project. All of the residences on the block were cleared, and the city vacated an alley to make room for our new gathering place, our chapel, our library, a nursery, and a new main entrance that now faces Clay Street. That project also included major updates to Fellowship Hall, the office area, and our sanctuary. The sanctuary, part of the original 1895 construction, maintains traditional elements such as a pipe organ and stained glass, but it's been refreshed with a modern appearance and is fully equipped to record and broadcast worship services and events. We've done a lot of building over the years, and we've had opportunities to move too, but we've always chosen to remain right here in the center of Cedar Falls, investing in the heart of our city by investing in the hearts of its citizens. None of us knows what the future holds, but we do know that First United Methodist Church will be here for the people of Cedar Falls, guiding them to live lives of faith and service, leading them to find their place in God's great story, and above all, encouraging them to love first.